do lectins cause inflammation? So what I'm going to do is this, is I'm going to go through and continue our women's health and protein, also male too, but do lectins cause inflammation? Well, what I want to show you guys is this, because people, I use the doctor term based on my chiropractic degree, but I have other degrees, and I've taken other certificates, and I've taken other education. And I'm actually going to pull some of the things that I did when I did my Harvard Medical School executive education that way. It's, you see, I just finished that course up November last year, and then I just did my vaccine one. I think I've done, don't quote me exactly, 3 or 4. I know I did 3. I think it's 4 classes. Once again, I love taking their certificates and doing things. And you can see a design for a sustainable nutrition plan. And then I have my references and all the things that I'm going to use there. So I'm going to pull out the things that I learned during my schooling on this topic alone. And I learned some of these things in undergraduate too. It's more prevalent, understood now. So you actually see some of the published things that come out. So we're going to talk about this, once again. And I know that carnivore people are going to use some of the things I say. I know vegans are going to use some say, but I'm telling you right now, guys, pull to the middle because there's some things I want you guys to understand. So let's look at, once again, Harvard T.H. Chan, research once again. So let's take a look at lectin. Let's define a little bit. Let's talk about it. Okay, here we go. Lectins, okay, hemagglutinins are an anti-nutrient. So right away, you see this anti-nutrient thing, okay? They have been received much attention due to a popular media and fad diet book citing lectins as a major cause of obesity, chronic inflammation, and autoimmune disease. They are found in all plants. So remember that, guys. They're in all plants. But raw legumes, beans, lentils, peas, soybeans, peanuts, and whole grains like wheat contain the highest amount of lectins. Is there truth behind these claims? Now you can see we're going to move into the problems of lectins just below it that way. But once again, let's go back to this, to keep that there, Travis, for a second. They are found in all plants. So all plants have them, okay? Now let's think about this. Now this is where it gets a little rough because once again, lectins, what they do is they're a protein that binds to carbohydrates. Well, sometimes I'm going, well, could a lectin be good? Because maybe it can help with some blood sugar issues and maybe some obesity issues. But also, what if it attaches to something in the body that's a carbohydrate? Maybe to a cell receptor and things like that. Could be some bad things. See, so once again, there's that perspective. You got to look from both sides that way. And once again, you have to have non-biased thing, and you got to be able to hold both ideas in hands. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We don't know. Okay, but here's what happens. This is just my first thought process. I love cruciferous. That means there's going to be, now once again, cruciferous, there's some that have very little lectin, so some of them are very low. But I just look at the overall benefit and what comes out from eating cruciferous or sauerkraut, which once again people say, well, does sauerkraut have lectins? Yeah, very small, and so that. And we see the massive help in it. So once again, so we talk about all plants. So therefore, if you say, well, I want to go on a lectin-free diet, then basically you're carnivore. Now, once again, if there are some negative things that do happen, and now you eliminate lectins in plants out of your diet, and people go carnivore and they see some positive act, they say, oh, look it, lectins are bad for everybody. I'm gonna kind of put that to rest a little bit because it's not really true. I'm gonna show you why lectins can be problematic or can have some issues with people, because I know people, and once again, I do know people that when they avoid lectins, they did extremely well, okay? And I say, Doc, you're kind of being confusing because you're like, you never give up lectins, but you've had people and patients and stuff like that, you've told them not to eat them. Yes, because there's reasons why, okay? And that's the big part. And there's also reasons why when it comes to the food. So let's look at the problems with lectins. So let's take a look at it real quick. Lectins are defined as proteins that bind to carbohydrates. The same feature that lectins use to defend plants in nature may cause problems during human digestion. They resist being broken down in the gut and are stable in acidic environments. Features that protect lectin-containing plants in nature. Okay, so if you kind of look at it this way, lectins are kind of like a defense mechanism for a plant. And that's why they say, and that's kind of funny. Everybody's saying, they have defense chemicals because they don't want to be eaten. Well, neither does a cow or a pig or a goat or anything. If you can reason and tell the cow that he was going to die, that would be the ultimate mad cow disease. They'd be like, moo, don't kill me, okay? But anyways, the point that saying that is this, is everything in nature has a defense. So that's why they say it's defense chemicals and they're anti-nutrients. Well, let's continue to see what's going on here, okay? When consumed, lectins in their active state can cause negative side effects. The most publicized accounts report severe reactions of people eating even small amounts of raw or uncooked kidney beans. They contain phytohemogglutins, a type of lectin that can cause red blood cells to clump together. It can also produce nausea, vomiting, stomach acid, stomach upset, and diarrhea. Minor side effects including bloating and gas. Okay, now so here's what happens. They also talk about the active state. People realize there's an active state and an inactive state. Well, how do we make them inactive? I'm going to show you in just a little bit here. But once again, just by reading some of the things on the Harvard informational page as far as like when it comes to lectins, it kind of seems like things kind of not so good so far, okay? Let's continue. Animal and cell studies have found that the active lectins can interfere with the absorption of minerals, especially calcium, iron, phosphorus, and zinc. Legumes and cereals often contain these minerals, so the concurrent presence of lectins may prevent the absorption and use of the minerals of the body. Lectins can also bind to cells lying in the digestive tract. Uh-oh, not good. They may disrupt the breakdown of absorption of nutrients and affect the growth of the action of the intestinal flora. Because lectin proteins bind to cells for long periods of time, they can potentially cause harm in autoimmune response and are theorized to play a role in inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis and type 1 diabetes. Okay, so what's basically saying is these things can sometimes, once again, bind to certain nutrients and minerals and maybe stop their absorption. And if they become an irritant to the GI, they can create an immune response because now they're bound to it that way. They can't really move the digestive tract. We don't really break down that well from our enzymatic processes that way. So therefore, guess what? It's like, oops, now once again, everybody's saying, well, doc, I want to avoid lectins. Once again, there was a key thing that if people don't understand, it talked about the active form. Because once again, they talk about raw, they talk about some other things, but we're going to get to it that way. But let's take a look at something else, though. On the same page, the benefits of lectin-containing foods. Lectins can act as an antioxidant, which you need a lot of those, which protects cells from damage caused by free radicals. They also slow digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. That's quite interesting because, I believe people consume too many carbohydrates for too long time, which may prevent sharp rises in blood sugar and high insulin levels. Early research is also looking at the use of non-toxic, low amounts of certain lectins to help stimulate gut cell growth in patients who are unable to eat for long periods of time. And in anti-cancer treatments due to the ability to lectins to cause cancer cell death. All right, so now there's some benefits. Can you guys look at a food like this and go, there could be some irritating things and there could be some good things? And that's true in most foods. That's why if you ever notice, if I was a vegan, they're going to look at some of the things of meats that could have some things in it that could cause some potential harm. And vice versa. They do it with the plants. And they sit there and go back and forth. But once again, I think that's taken out of context. It's taken out of context due to the fact that we don't know the state of which the body it goes into. Let me say that again. We're not taking in consideration sometimes the state of which the body goes into. Because most people say, well, healthy people ate lectins. I'm like, wait, let's stop right there. How do you know they're healthy? Because the concept of health is way overblown. I have had people say, doc, I'm pretty healthy if I didn't have cancer. You say, I'm like, you have cancer. That means you've been unhealthy for a long period of time, and therefore, once again, now if you eat a lectin-based food, you may have some GI disruption, and therefore, once again, the only time they really look at saying, well, lectins are bad for the GI tract is if you have some celiac or some Crohn's because there's a GI problem. Yeah, but what if you just have IBS? Maybe then the ability to deal and break down and do these things when it comes to lectins, they're just a major irritant. And that's why if you ever notice, I always tell people this, and I've told patients this. Here, what I want you to do is this. For the next 2 weeks, just go carnivore. Just eat meat. Throw some liver in there so you get a lot of diverse nutrients, but just go carnivore. And vast majority, the vast, if not over 90% of people had improvements. Why? Because their GI was very irritated. And so therefore, there's other things that could be an irritant in a plant that guess what happens? It just doesn't do well with them. I can honestly use Erin, for example, over there. Erin knows I'm obsessed with cruciferous, but she would bloat after. It took years of her doing things for her finally to get back on the cruciferous without bloating, okay? So therefore, that's what I'm going, once again, lectins do have some properties that could be irritable if you're already irritated. Okay? And on top of it, I believe that preparation is a big key. So let's keep on going. See, but people say, doc, but listen, there's even documented concerns that people have. If you look, they could have impaired nutrient absorption, increased intestinal permeability, altered gut bacteria, immune system stimulation. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay? But I also come back going, okay, what is the state of the body that they're in? So what I want to do is this. I want to say, okay, listen, I love the information I got from my class and things like that. And again, I look at lectins to go, all plants have some form of lectin there, and I can't believe, knowing the fact that the things I know when it comes to cruciferous and sauerkraut and stuff like that all plants are going to be bad. Therefore, if you have some lectins or other lectins, some foods have a higher base one, and actually some of the things that do have higher base lectins, I'm actually, eat and stuff, and I'm like going, I don't have any GI problems from lectins, but then there's some people that, once again, if you do have GI disruptions, I believe lectins could be a problem. So once again, both sides, it's more in the middle what's going on. Hey everyone, for unedited, full-length, unapologetic content, go to my website, drpatrickflynn.com. Hit the subscribe button to join our community for more amazing content like this every day.